What happened to Matrix?
Fine.
Silas, I love your feet. I love that look.
Did you get those from our duck friend?
Silas made them.
Oh, nice.
There we go. Now you can hear me on Twitch.
Yes, and you're open.
And you're open. Yep, that's okay. We're just waiting. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Sorry, I'm trying to when we stream to 15 different platforms, I have to go check them all. Okay, so let's get started. Today's pretty simple, I think. Just as a reminder, all questions should be put in chat, and we will get to them in the order that they are received. We have somebody taking notes, so we are, in fact, keeping track of all questions coming in from the chat in World, Twitch, Steam, and YouTube. So we'll get to your question, and if we don't get to it, then we'll try to answer it in Discord later. So just as a reminder, Nix will have to drop out halfway, which means we might as well not even be here anymore, because Nix is the most important person at Sansar and answers the most questions. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and get started. What else do we need to go through? Oh, yes, let's introduce ourselves real quick, starting with Stanley.
I'm Stanley. I'm a product director for Sansar.
I'm Nix. I'm a project manager for Sansar.
I'm Galileo. I'm the community manager for Sansar.
Hey everyone, I'm Kara. I'm a product manager for Sansar.
Also a product manager.
And I'm Harley. I'm the Sansar support team lead.
Perfect. Everybody, good job knowing your names. It's a good start to the old product meetup. Okay, so there's a few things I want to go over before we start. I'm going to go through it quickly. We have a couple of challenges that are up and running right now as we prepare for a big launch that's happening on the 24th of September. Which we're all preparing for, and we're trying to get everybody hyped up for that. So we've got a creator challenge that is the future of fashion, which you might have seen in Discord. And what that means is we're about to have a huge musical event that's sort of future themed, and so any fashion that's created in connection with that event will be put in a collection that will feature on the main store page. So that's one. You've got until the 20. I think you've got to the 23rd to get all that stuff in. Go ahead and just let me know what you've submitted, and then when the collection is ready, if you don't see yours up there, I can add it as well, just in case I've missed it. That's one. The other one is the Avatar Face Deformation Challenge. We're going to be holding these like just semi-regularly anyway, but especially as we lead up to the bigger launch, which you might see the hype for on our social channels. So this week we have Power, who's a streamer, and I know some of you don't care about streamers, but we have a lot of people that care about streamers in the world, and so Power is one of them. The other is Sigourney Weaver from Alien as Ripley, and then our other challenge is Billy D. Williams as Lando Calrissian, obviously from Star Wars. So just use the facial deformation sliders and see if you can get as close to their faces as you can. No cheating by straight up uploading their faces into Sansar. Okay, that's that. What else do we have? We just released a new creator profile today, so you can see Granddad Got Mojo, Bluebell, Maven, and Alfie talking about how they put together concerts in the world, so go ahead and check those out. I'll go ahead and drop the video in chat so you can watch it afterwards. And I think those are all of my big announcements. Have I missed anything, team? Yay, nay, yay?
I don't think so.
Excellent. Okay, so let's go ahead and just get started. So again, today is just a general feedback session. There's a lot to talk about, obviously. The only other thing that we want to go over before we start that is the user guides. Kara, do you want to go ahead and talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. So we've seen a lot of the creators, a lot of you help each other out in the Discord channel, sharing tutorials or sharing tips, whether it's making avatars or creating worlds. we created the user created guide section in the forum. We'd like to encourage everyone again to share your tips and tutorials there, so it's easier for users to find. Not all users are on Discord, so it would be great, especially for new users, to be able to find it there. So if they have questions, they can at least search it through the knowledge base, or through the help center in general. Because when you search there, you can see all of the articles, whether it's knowledge base or in the forums, and it's much easier for everyone to find it. So I encourage you all to add your tutorials and tips there.
Excellent. All right. And again, that's it's going to be useful for everybody. And I've seen some really wonderful avatar rigging videos come up recently. Olympus Mons made one. Firegoat had one that was pretty good. I've seen some excellent MD stuff coming through. Somebody asked me, Kara, this might actually be a good question that I'll ask you right now. So putting you on the spot. Somebody in the forums in relation to that fashion challenge that I was just talking about asked if there's any way we can get a trial period to Marvelous Designer again. I believe we offered that a long time ago.
I'm not sure if we can, but we can definitely look into it. I need to check if we still have some trials available to give out.
Okay, cool. So we're going to look into that. What else? I guess that's it. All right, so let's go to the questions. I guess it's that time. All right, first question of the day. Zero Cheese. Question. Can we get the ability to F4 cam while sitting eventually? I often want to sit in a room like this or a theater and cam into the screen better.
Is this the new high heels question?
This is the new high heels question.
For what it's worth, I'm sitting on the ground and I can free cam. I assume this is meaning
Sit points,
to
yeah.
Sit point related.
points. Yeah.
Yeah, because it doesn't work. Yep. Noted. One cheese awarded.
All right, Zero Cheese continuing to rack up all of the dairy merits in Sansar. So the answer is no, not yet, but we're thinking about it, I guess. Then Ransom's got a question. All right, any news on full support of the Valve Index headset? He's got a second question, and the full finger tracking support of the controllers.
Good questions. We just tested the headset internally, and it appears to work for the most part without any client-side changes. Don't quote me directly on that. That's just what I heard through the grapevine. And we don't have any immediate plans to make the index controller finger tracking work, but it is something we want to get to sooner than later. I'll give you a more accurate time frame for that next week. How about that?
Yeah, I'm not expecting we're going to get to it sooner rather than later. It's a question of we are just full throttle working on some kinks and bugs with the
I believe that was the voice of the venerable Landon.
Venerable, ouch!
Hey, whoa, venerable's great. Sagely, sagacious. All right, we're gonna find a good word for you, Landon. Landon, do you want to introduce yourself since you're answering questions?
Oh, hi, I'm Landon. I'm Chief Product Officer at Linden, overseeing the product engineering teams. Sansar teams.
Yeah. In some cultures, he's known as the Supreme Warlord. That's the other title we give to CPOs here. Thanks, Landon, for joining us. Okay, so full finger tracking support of the controllers. Did we answer that part?
Yeah, we did.
Cool. All right. Next up, Cerberus. Question. Can we only use one material when importing through Marvelous Designer?
I don't think that's intentional. You should be able to assign multiple materials through Marvelous Design.
I tried it. I was like inside of Marvelous assigning already different materials, but when I import it, I only get like one material in the material editor in Sansar.
That sounds like a bug. So thanks for letting us know.
Yeah, we'll look into that.
Marvelous Designers only had one face, so you can add all the materials you want in Marvelous Designer, but it still only brings in one face to Sansar.
One material, that's what I got there, like even if I try to assign different materials inside of Marvelous. And that's not good if you want to have like a missive or whatever, you always lose the two-sided and things like that, so yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's been that way since the start.
Okay, we'll look into that, see what we can do there.
All right, great. Next up, Wild and Free says, I would like to see see a color wheel for lips, nails, eyes, and skin. Are there any plans to implement that?
Unfortunately, not immediately. The challenge is that we looked into being able to do it for skin, and the quality just wasn't nearly as great with the subsurface scattering shader. And for the others, eyes, nails, lips, those aren't inherently separate meshes. What we are planning on doing eventually is allowing for a texture layering system where you can have separate textures that get stacked up to be able to select colors for that. But the color wheel, we don't have immediate plans for.
All right. What else do we have here? Lilith asks, can world load screens be a wormhole animation? It would be more entertaining and feel like we're actually making a journey. Also, could we have it so we can walk into portals to begin the journey? They could be deactivated from accidental portal entry by clicking to accept, then walking in. I see.
Did Ebe plant you in the audience?
Oh, but it'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
No, Ebe harangues me just about every single day on this. It is something we're going to do. Where it's just I can't remember what's the animation. Did anybody remember?
Bowden, do you want to talk about this?
Or do you want to make it a surprise?
Can everyone? Okay, yeah, people can. What was the specific question again about the animation you said?
The animation for the loading screen.
Oh, yeah. We are going to try and get out a new animation for the loading screen fairly quickly, so stay tuned on that. It will probably be rolled out in a couple of phases where the space for the loading screen improves, and then the UI for the loading improves as well, but yeah, stay tuned.
That'll be a wormhole animation, is that what you're saying?
Not exclusively, no. It will be something in theme with the new kind of style and Prime Portal, though. So it'll be tied into the story.
The trouble is that the loading screen takes up video RAM, and the more complicated and interesting you make it, the less space you actually have for the place that you're trying to load into.
Right. Don't worry,
so it's a little bit of a trick.
Will we walk into the portals though to do it, or is it
walking into the portals is a separate thing. I think Alex has probably done the most research on the team in terms of how and why and when.
We're making that change too, but remember that walking to the portal will still open the codex, so you'll still have to interact with the codex to go visit the world.
Oh, the details page, I imagine?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And that's for a really good reason. We don't want people to drop portals and like grief teleports or anything like that. So you'll walk in, get the details page, click to go, and merrily go on your way.
Perhaps in the future, though, for power users, we could have a skip that panel option.
Yeah.
If you just know you want to jump through portals nice and quick, and you trust the people, for example, let's say.
Risky business.
Risky business. Risky portal of the day.
Yeah.
Well, in my description, I was saying if you click on the button before you walk into it, then it will feel more interactive that you're walking into it. So that message to say you want to go.
Ah, got it. So it's like a volume that brings to the panel, and then you walk into it to activate it. Yeah, that's
sort of unlocking the key so you can walk into it.
Sure. Yeah, that's definitely an interesting idea to kind of activate. Probably more of a complicated like interaction design, but something we can consider probably later.
Okay, let's look at the next question then. Edom asks, as of May 2nd, 2018, it is no longer possible to create or edit terrain or upload terrain height maps in Sansar. Will it be possible to see this feature again in the near or far future?
We don't currently have plans for that. What we found was that very few people were using that feature, and most people that were building large landscapes were just modeling it in their modeling tool of choice. So we did retire that feature. We don't currently have plans to bring it back.
I loved it. That's all I have to say. But it was really not performant, right, Nix?
Yeah, it was also causing us a lot of performance problems, and people were building much more efficient terrains without using our tools.
Okay, cool. Bowden, do you want to introduce yourself? I don't know if we actually got around to it, just so people know who you are.
Product Manager, Sansar team.
There we go. All right, Marcus Williams asks, are you going to give us the ability to direct voice call other avs to voice chat? Are you going to add spell check to chat window?
I hope we add spell check to the chat window. That's for
Me
personal
too.
reasons. Not that we're going to, I just hope that we do.
too.
In terms of the voice call, we haven't actively talked about that. More likely, the communication features that we'll focus on will be kind of expanding chat, or how do we make groups communication a little bit easier instead of improving the one-on-one communication. So no active plans for user-to-user voice chat as of now.
You can do that in Discord, however, which is the really nice and peaceful place where all the community gathers to talk and have totally nice conversations where everybody agrees on everything. So that's my pitch for Discord. Next up, Nubsley asks, will we ever get neighborhoods with plots that we can slot a personal pod into? Pods would be a defined volume that you could design and build in the editor as long as it's within the metrics provided to ensure performance in the neighborhood.
I'm not sure who's the best one to take that. Landon, do you have thoughts on that?
What was it? Could someone boil the question down for me? I'm sorry.
I think yes. I think the idea is it's like an experience, and then in that experience, multiple creators can create different things on based like plots of land on that experience.
Yeah, so like the second line parcel system. The short answer to that is no. That is nothing on the roadmap for that. I think don't hold me to this. This is not something that we've planned. This is not something that's kind of officially on our roadmap, but kind of what's in the back of my head and on the back of other folks' head is to have ways to stitch worlds together to achieve something similar, but that is not in the foreseeable future.
In the meantime, we absolutely encourage people to collaborate and put in portals in your scenes that send users to other experiences that they might be interested in. Definitely interested in seeing networks of experiences all connected together, so you can go to one experience and also feel like there's another place to go to when you're done exploring that one.
Great point.
All right, then. Ransom asks, I had an idea for the future. Could we add portal destination picture in the actual portal we are seeing? Like opening a portal to Ogremar or Stormwind and seeing the picture of the other end?
Yeah, I answered this in chat. That's something we'd very much love to do.
Hey, Isaiah, how about like a live picture from the other end of the portal?
Yeah, let's just make it like Portal, so you can actually just walk back and forth.
Nice.
No problem.
You heard it here first. We're recreating Portal in Sansar.
No, we're definitely not doing that.
Yikes.
What we can do is approach, especially because we already have an image, or you've already associated image with your experience, we could find a way of displaying that image within that portal, so you can at least kind of see what that portal is going to take you to before you walk into it and get that codex detail view. 100% something we should do.
Awesome. Okay, so we are nixing, turning Sansar into Portal. Good to know. I'm seeing some really great avatars in here, by the way, that I haven't seen yet. So if you've got a really cool avatar, come up to the front so we can see it. We've been wanting to see all of the great avatars. Go ahead and feel free to walk up here. We're going to keep answering questions. Sabrina Grace Afterthought asks, will there be options for camera? Somebody is typing super loud. Say yes, is that you?
Sorry.
Okay. Sabrina Grace Afterthought asks, will there be options for camera view, especially as some people suffer vertigo when using the panning with the right click? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so I was trying to get some more details with her in text chat, so maybe we can get back to that when
all right, coming
those
back.
details.
Coming back to the SGA. All right, Medhu asks, question. Currently, it seems that that few people are wandering too far from the Nexus. I see what you're saying. Okay. It seems that not very many people are getting too far away from the Nexus. What does the lab have planned to make our worlds more discoverable?
Many things. At least ideas that we're currently thinking about internally is how do we make it easier for worlds to exist with like kind of more organized content. So you can think of that in terms of categories or tags or whatever you might want to call it. So you can identify your worlds, and then people who want to find such content can connect with it a little easier. That's one idea we've kicked around. We're also constantly thinking about how do we iterate on the Prime Portal categories and make sure that discoverability is not going down and that people continue to visit more worlds and spend time in worlds that they connect with. A big part of that is trying to find content that new users, I wouldn't say necessarily enjoy, but that proves to have stronger traction. So not all worlds are going to be inherently visible. That would just be one long list of thousands of items, so that's not realistic, but good quality content that people enjoy, we have really strong incentives to make sure that remains visible and surfaces to users.
All right, next up we have Zero Cheese. Second question of the day. Just a follow-up regarding messaging communication. Any word on some sort of notification chime when we get an incoming message? I think I speak on behalf of the majority of everyday users on that one. LOL.
Fake news. I hate little dings every time I get a text message, but you're not incorrect that people do like it. We'll definitely add that onto our list, and if we do it, hopefully we'll do it with an option to turn it off as well as on. So we'll add it to our list. Thank you.
All right, little dings on the menu. Adam asks, currently there is an option allowing to cast shadows only with Spotlight. Will it be possible to have this option with Point Light as well?
Not that I'm aware of, but I can ask the render team.
Is that about shadows?
Shadows, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, cool. Disney Huntress asks, question, since you seem to be pushing us linking up experiences with portals, has there been any headway on being able to specify where the landing point in another experience would be that isn't simply where the spawn point is? Landing in a specific room or point if you had clicked on a specific teleporter in another experience, etc. Thanks.
Sorry,
World.
Yeah, no, not quite yet. There is a roundabout way if you own both scenes, but there isn't a good way if you only own the entry portal to someone else's scene yet.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, so far I'm hitting the end of the questions in the questions list. So keep adding them. Otherwise we can sit and look at each other and gaze into each other's avatars longingly as we think about all the nice places we want to go, all the beautiful things we want to eat. Okay, Zayas. It's hammer time. Harley's got a question. Has everyone seen General Zod's face? I believe it'd be hard to miss at this point. It's like looking into sort of an abyss.
Okay, well, if you haven't seen it, you should definitely free cam back there, because...
All right, Solus asks, can we get more info on the load screen for each world?
What kind of info do you want to see?
Well,
Yeah,
some
exactly.
of the, our description of what the world is, so people kind of know the information, and then some of them are created by more than one person too, and so it gives credit to where credit is due.
So
Well,
you're
maybe if
talking on the
Sorry,
thumbnail?
Well, when you hit the load screen, it'll say
Oh, sure.
it'll say
yeah.
Ren Fair by Naya. Well, if we could have more of a description with that, that'd be handy.
At the moment, we've not. We have some ideas about how to improve that screen. We haven't included adding the world details to that thinking. We can add it to our list in terms of if we're going to do that, how would we? But definitely, future designs leave space for real estate. It's just a matter of what do we want to do with that space.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, next we have Solus, Zayas typing.
Sorry.
My favorite question. And then we have 8X. Will it, at some point, be possible to zoom into objects and move the camera like in SL?
Yeah, it's on our wish list for things we want to do for Edit World. The Alt to focus on a specific point and Control to rotate around that point. super nifty camera control system over there. It's on our to-do list. It's just not a immediate priority.
All right. Medhugh asks, is forcing us all into the Nexus being reconsidered?
No, how you travel is always being considered, but at the moment, we're not. You know, travel for new worlds, or one of the ways you discover new worlds, is still going to happen through the Nexus. In terms of what happens when you load in, we are talking about and going to actively try and have at least some sort of toggle that allows you to either land in the home space or land at the Nexus, depending on your preference when you log in. But world discovery, the Nexus is still a big part of how you discover content.
All right. Zero Cheese. How are the metrics looking, if any, for the amount of people canceling going to the Nexus when they start Sansar? Or using other methods to... Who is that?
That was me. I was laughing.
Or using other methods to bypass Nexus when starting Sansar. Is this still looking like a permanent thing? Will we be able to customize our start points? Sorry, Alex. Capital LOL.
I think the start point I probably commented on in terms of what our thinking is in current plans. In terms of metrics and activity, I have nothing to report on that necessarily. Just know that we will look at it and we'll adjust based on user behavior, but no details specifically to share. Sorry.
All right. Question, Ransom asks, you are aware of the accessories resetting size and position when touching just one item in the avatar list? Question mark?
Can you provide more information with that? What that is?
I believe he's talking about whenever you touch something in your avatar, everything resets when you... Kara, can you turn off your mic?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Everything resets when you change one thing. So, for example, if I were to adjust my toga, the halo would fly off my head, the wings would go into my face, and my head wings would go off screen. That's what happens. I think that happens.
Yeah, we can look into that. I don't think I've heard anything about that internally, but I think I saw that. But we're looking into it. I saw that some of you mentioned that in the Discord channel the other day. I don't know if you've been able to reproduce that so far. But we'll look into that.
Ooh, it happens to me a lot, so just come by my computer and I'll show you.
All right, sounds good.
All right, bye, Nix. Looks like Naya has... Waffle, sorry, I'm trying to get all these questions. Okay, Waffle's asking, will the Nexus be a hub for seasonal events in the future?
How so? Could you elaborate?
Get that Waffle elaboration going on.
I think it's fair to say that if we hold seasonal events, we definitely want people to be in the Nexus. So it's certainly a place we would consider, any sort of seasonal activity. I just don't want to promise that we are going to have any just yet. We have a lot of things we want to get to first.
Waffle Nerd is standing creepily behind us on stage. I didn't see him until now. Thank you for that, Waffle. Scared me. Naya asks, can we please have a visual for pinning clothes? And please let us zoom lower on the body so we can fix pant legs and socks.
Yeah.
So yes. Yeah, so we're looking into adding more improvements to MD, in the future. One of that is definitely adding more pinning, a pinning UI mechanism so you know where your pins are. The other thing is, we also want to add more zooming functionality so you can zoom in more on the different parts of the body. I know right now it's a little bit more constrained, so we're looking into that.
So I agree. It's a real problem. We're working on it internally. We're discussing it, figuring out how we want to handle it. I will point out that for some people in a mind, what I am doing is going into VR and then sitting on the floor and playing with it. I know that's like a goofy solution to the problem, but it does in fact work. You can laugh at me. It's okay.
I'd like to see it actually, but.
All right, next. Medhu asks, is the goal to add as many processes as possible? Jeez. All right, Medhu is asking, is the goal to add as many processes as possible to find a new place? Because that's what it looks like. Usually you want as few steps as possible. Currently there are so many steps to opening the Prime portal and finding new places. Just loading into the Nexus is a single step. Then you have to run over and then click another panel in the UI. What are the plans to reduce the friction?
Guys, who told Medhu our master plan to make things very difficult? Damn. No, the intent isn't to make things inherently more difficult. Certainly there are new steps involved in discovery. The idea is that you'll have a greater sense of place when it comes to what is Sansar, how do I interact with this world, this content. That's the intent with this space. In terms of new world discovery, as you progress in Sansar, hopefully the ways that you discover worlds progresses as well. You'll make friends, and in your codex you'll see My Friends tab. That should be an unfiltered view, where if your friends make new worlds, you see those new worlds. No need to go to the Nexus. Same goes for maybe creators building their own worlds with portals to contents that they've associated with or is within their theme. The Nexus is a way to discover new content, but not the way. So it's not the singular intent to make it more difficult, and we'll continue to look at it and make sure that content discovery isn't decreasing or that user behavior isn't going in a direction we don't want.
All right, Loki from...
It is decreasing, though. Doesn't that disturb you guys?
Again, we're going to keep looking at the overall behavior. There's no single metric when it comes to what is good or bad in terms of these changes. It will be a series of things that we're looking at in terms of was this a healthy step, or do we need to alter or make changes to the systems we've introduced?
Okay. Next, Loki from Twitch asks, with regard to the future of the Sansar skeleton and supporting custom avatars, would we be able to edit the skeleton to fit the proportions of short avatars, cartoony characters, with arms, legs, and hands not the same proportions of an adult human? My concern being that if I rig and import a custom avatar now, I would have to do so again when or if you add skeletal/body morphs for custom avatars.
Sorry, give me 1 second to catch up on the question.
You bet.
So you'll if you upload your avatar now, you'll have to update it later on. But with the in the future, we want to add an update system, so that should make it easier to adjust your item. Is that the question you're asking about? But yes.
No, they're asking about the morphing the skeletons for custom avatars.
So the morphing for avatars is for our default avatars. We're not going to give morphing, at least if you're talking about bone deformation, to custom avatars. But in the future, we will allow for at least the bone to be transformed before you upload it. So you can change it, make the avatar much shorter than the skeleton, make it shorter, deform it a little bit, make the arms longer.
Okay, next we have... let's see where we are right now. Morgaine asks, is there a plan to save clothes fittings once we've adjusted it? If so, like sometimes when we want to wear it again, we keep having to adjust it, and we don't want to do that. Did you guys hear me?
Kara?
Am I...
What's the question?
Is there a plan to save clothes fittings?
You mean saving it back to the inventory? Is
no,
that the question?
Right now, when you adjust your clothes, every time you put on the same piece of clothing, you have to readjust it.
Yes. So there's no way right now to save that, because that would mean we'd have to save that information back to the inventory, and currently we don't have that capability just yet. But it's something we're discussing internally, seeing if we can do that. Yeah, but it does also propose like a lot of complexity because that's also assuming that you're always going to wear the same item and the same avatar. So if let's say you have different kinds of avatars, including custom avatars, like let's say I think Zero Cheeks here has like a Sonic avatar. If you put like a the clothing, it will always fit to the whatever avatar that you save that specific piece of clothing to. And so if he had refitted that clothing to this avatar, then once he wears it, that specific piece of clothing on a regular avatar, then he'd have to readjust it again.
Something like that would make fitting clothing to other avatars much easier, though. Let's say you took a piece of clothing and you made a big body, knowing that all your other bodies are smaller and it's going to shrink down. So it could be a good way to make clothing easier.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So as I mentioned, we were discussing it internally, to see if we can support it.
Okay. Nubsley asks, it's obvious that many people aren't thrilled about being herded / manipulated / forced, etc., to experience Sansar in a way that puts the interest of the company over the individual. Every time it gets brought up, a general non-answer is given that basically boils down to, this is what we're doing, deal with it, only in a polite manner. What is your long-term strategy for trying to get people excited about something they really don't want?
I would say the interest of the company is to make sure that people connect with content that they enjoy, and that's a good experience for creators and users. Definitely the shifts in how people discover content and access worlds has changed, and that's a rather big change compared to the way it was before. I don't think the jury's quite out yet on whether or not that was a good or a bad thing. It's just something that we want to test and see if the story and world organization resonates with users across the board. So I don't think our interests are in conflict in that way. Creators, their content, making sure that people can easily find and connect with their content will always remain the goal. It's the thing that we need to do if we are to be successful. So hopefully that kind of dispels any notion that we're at odds, because hopefully that's not the case. If it feels that way, do let us know, because it's not the intention.
Okay. What's next here? Alex is gone. Maybe somebody else can answer this question. Zero Cheese asks, any luck on previously talked about change for toggle, push to talk being moved from M to V keys and adding an option for push to talk? Cheese, you might be able to just ping Alex in Discord and he'll give you an answer here. Marcus Williams asks, can we get the ability to find a friend on a map and be able to directly teleport to the friend?
Find a friend on a map. That one we don't currently have plans. Of course, being able to teleport directly to your friend, yes, that is a thing. But seeing where said friend is before, no. We have talked about ways to at least expose, hey, these are the places where your friends are at, just in some aggregated level, not being too specific, like, this friend is at this world that you wouldn't otherwise be able to see, like, not going to do that. We've talked about how do we kind of increase exposure to where are my friends and can I go there or not.
All right, Morgaine asks, is it on the roadmap to be able to update scene creations listed on the Sansar store with a new version?
Barry, you want to take that?
Yeah, so right now we are working on a licensing system. The piece that's, blocking us from really extending the upgrade system, to make it so that you can upload, update items multiple times or even extend it to scene objects, is that we need to hook up the licensing system to the upgrade, to a proper upgrade system. So we are planning on working on a proper upgrade system. So in the future, you can also update scene items, scene objects in the store.
Okay, great. Next. Silas. Jeez, Silas. Okay. Silas asks in earnest, I believe, are there plans to make a human female to replace that alien thing that currently exists? I believe he's referring to our female avatar.
So the alien thing you're referring to is a female avatar? So what about it makes it like an alien thing?
Silas, do you want to explain how you think women should look?
They need web feet, right, Silas?
Okay, I guess we could talk about the general direction that we're thinking about going with avatars, or just how we're acting with the current feedback on the avatars.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, I'm just reading in Silas's. Okay, yeah, gigantic legs and tiny hands. Yeah, so yeah, a lot of the female, so both female and male avatars are the way they look because it is the best best starting point for us to be able to support body deformation. And as as we mentioned before, we are working towards body deformation, and so to have like a good starting point, the idea was to make it like a general body shape, so that later we can make it much bigger, much smaller, and you'll have the capacity to change those shapes much later on. And then ideally also, in addition to that, we were gearing towards making items in the store more, gender neutral, so that you can share items between male and female and vice versa. And so if you notice right now, if you buy male items, it's much easier to wear it on female avatars and vice versa. So that's the biggest proponents of why the avatars look this way in the meantime. Of course, in the future, we do want to, have more variety of shapes for the avatars. So in terms of the default avatars that we have, we'll have like different versions. Like let's say we'll have a muscular version already off the bat, so users can use that, or maybe a skinnier one, or maybe a more curvier female avatar. So different users who come into Sansar have a choice of like what kind of avatar they feel like they're relating to a lot more. So yeah, that's a plan currently. And again, a lot of these are just temporary until we get body deformation, which is something that we are working towards.
Do we have an ETA on body deformation?
I can't really give any timelines, but it's something that we're actively working towards. So much like face deformation, it took a couple of months to work on it. It's a really, really robust system. The tech to be able to have the tools to pick on the face really requires a lot of R&D as well as testing, and so to be able to make it perfect, we do require a couple of months to work on it.
Okay. Zero Cheese asks, how's the quest journal / completion list idea going?
That would be another Alex question, and unfortunately he's not here at the moment. The best I can say is no update on that right now. Their primary focus is making sure that they can address a lot of the quest feedback we've gotten for the last release, and really polishing that up. They do have plans to create some sort of quest log, more standardized journal, but nothing to announce there right now.
All right. Medhu asks, question, what are the next individual portals that will be going up next week in the Nexus?
I actually don't know if we have a confirmed list or not, in terms of when all the portals will be filled out or what those portals will be. So you'll have to stay tuned.
I will say that we have a big launch coming up in about 2 weeks, and some of those portals will be taken up by our partnerships with some of our launch partners. But those will be started to be, I think those will be filled out in the next couple of weeks. But as for next week, I think Bowden's answer is probably the most accurate. Wild and Free asks, you say to let you know if it feels like it is now harder to find worlds. It now feels harder to find worlds to me. You have the categories of visited, favorites, friends, and my worlds. When are you going to add a category for exploring things we haven't seen?
So the Prime portal is intended to be, and perhaps this is what your question was directed at, but I think there are some categories in the Prime portal that you didn't mention. The Prime portal is intended to be the place where you discover content that might be new. We did discuss should we limit the prime portal to only worlds you haven't been to, so it's inherently undiscovered content? We still think about that. In many ways, we didn't want to go exclusively in that direction because we could then be filtering out worlds that maybe you do like and have seen before and currently are popular. But our intent is to increase world discovery for places you haven't been, and the primary way of doing that is to visit the Prime Portal. Or the other ways that we've kind of alluded to before.
Okay. General Zod asks, question, with the current Quest and XP system, are there any plans in the future to implement any kind of combat system or a way to trigger other types of animations with keys, like, for example, 1, 2, 3, or 4, or VR controller combinations? If yes, when can we expect that?
So this is, it's not related to the XP system, but your question is still valid. This is also related, I've talked with Alex about some of his plans, and I know he wants to really dive into improving the animation and emote system, and this is one of the considerations they're thinking of, is how they can how you can trigger animations that might be specific to some story or world content that you have. Right now it's only in the discussion phases, and we're trying to prioritize, this type of feature against some other really important things that we want to get to. So nothing yet. We are talking about it, but no current plans yet.
Okay. Olympus Mons asks, when will the Nexus be able to hold at least 35 people? 20 is too low. People get stuck outside of the Nexus in other instances.
We agree 20 is too low. I don't know if Nix is still here, but I know we're actively working on things to improve the overall performance of Sansar in general, which, hooray, that should have larger impacts than just the Nexus. But yeah, we intend on trying to increase the capacity within the next month or two, I think is our intent. Whether or not that will be 35, I don't know exactly, but we do want to increase.
Solus asks, will the event worlds we go to ever be loaded to our codex? Now they're not being loaded there at all.
Good question. Yes, they will be. So the event system is going to experience a small change very soon. When you go to create a new event, you'll select from existing published worlds. So worlds that you have that you can kind of copy and create an event for. So the system's still going to function the same way. You're making a copy of existing content. What's going to happen is once a user attends your event, the permanent world that you used or selected to create that event from, that will be added to the user's codex. So you're going to create that association at the beginning. You won't be able to change it, at least not in its early stages, but you'll create a connection. When a user attends your event, they'll have a world added to their codex. And I think that should be coming out within the next month or so, or weeks even. So hopefully soon.
All right. Cerberus, can we have a pop-up for events?
One more time, Gali. Can we have a pop-up for events?
Okay. Can we have a pop-up for events? That's from Cerberus.
Could you elaborate a little bit more, Cerberus? If you want to use voice chat, that's fine.
Yeah, I thought it would be kind of cool if we are interested in an event, we can click on that already. That then, when the event is happening on our screen, on the lower right corner or whatever, there's a little pop-up with directly the link to join the event. So that I think would be very helpful for people, not to forget about the event.
Yeah, agreed. I'm actually going to have to look into that. I thought we had event notifications on some level. I do know that when a user registers for Sansar for the first time, we ask on the browser level if we can notify them. So even if you're not in Sansar, users who select that option will get a notification saying, hey, that event that you want to go to is about to start. I will have to check on the in-world status notification and get back to you on that one, but we agree that's something we can and should do and wouldn't be that difficult, so let me add it to the list.
Cool.
All right, we've got about 11 minutes left. I think we're running low on questions rather. I've got one from General Zod. When can we expect an abandon button for the quest window next to each quest? There are times where creators didn't update or repair their quest, and you're stuck with their quest in your quest window. I want to get rid of them.
I know that was part of the original scope of the quest system, and as the work developed, we had to drop that. But I know Alex has plans to get that back in, so I'll check in with him and see if we can get an update for you.
All right. I think that's the last question we have. Go ahead and throw them out there, gang. Or I'm going to start playing Meatloaf on the screen behind us. 10 minutes left. This might be the last time you ever get to talk to the product team. There's no reason for me to say that, but it could be true.
Don't ever say that.
I mean, there might be an asteroid heading towards Earth right now. Not even virtual reality can save us from that.
A really, really positive turn this meeting has taken.
At least we'll all go out together.
That's true. That's true.
Okay. 8x. Oh, okay. Question: Win Bitcoin wallet.
Well, we already have a Bitcoin avatar, so is that not good enough? I don't think we're actively planning on Bitcoin wallets. That's probably all we can say about that.
I like when questions are that efficient, by the way. Just give me 3 words and we'll make it happen. Disney Huntress asks, apologies if it's been answered already. Is there a timeline and or plans for us to be able to swap out skins on an Avi without having to switch the entire Avi? Soon, please, and thanks.
Yeah, so for skins, that's also something that we're working towards. Hopefully it's soon. It's one of the things that's currently blocked by the licensing system. So once we have configured the licensing system to support the avatars, we'll be able to open the doors to, a lot of things, including allowing you to sell face presets, for example, and also changing the skin, uploading your own skins and being able to sell them in the store as well. So yeah, that's something that we're working towards. So keep your eyes peeled for it.
Keep your eyes peeled. Keep your eyes peeled. Okay, next. Next, Luov asks, how long till odd shadows are gone from Avies? How long till odd shadows are gone from Avies?
What do you mean by odd shadows? Can you expand a little bit further? So
Look
I
at
know
my
what
armpits.
specifically.
I believe he means the opposite of even
Oh
shadows.
yes. So yeah, so that's
And under my nose, and they're just odd.
Ooh, Luov,
Yeah,
can you
so
raise your arm for Twitch?
can come here to the center.
Ooh.
Yeah, but I saw that. Yeah, so that's being fixed. I believe it's already fixed, and it's gonna come out in the next point release that we're gonna ship out soon.
That deal with the nose one as well.
The nose,
odd
I'm
shadow
not
around the
entirely
nose.
sure, but I think that should be covered by that. I need to double check on the nose.
Oh yeah, looks like there's a little stash right there.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's kind of on the cheeks as well.
Yeah. Just got a 5 o'clock shadow going.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Really quickly, just spoke with Alex. He says that the abandoned button we do have planned not for the next release, but likely for a following release.
Okay.
Cool.
Naya asks.
Galileo, before there, did we miss the forum question from General Zod, or did I just not hear it?
The what?
There was a question from General Zod about the feature request section in the forums.
Yeah, I'll take this
Yeah.
one. Do devs read forums, specifically feature request section? We're working on streamlining a process where we can take a lot of the different feature requests we get from many different places. Product Meetup being one of them, forums being another place, Discord, customer support. It's a lot of different channels by which we can hear your feedback. So it's a whole process by which we have to itemize them, make sure we're comparing them against our plans, figuring out which ones we believe match or we want to adjust our plans for. So yeah, we are looking across the board. It's a lot of places, so bear with us. We really appreciate that you guys have so much feedback and ideas, but we are looking.
Okay.
And just to sorry, just to add to that, we definitely still encourage everyone to add your feature requests on the forums rather than just keeping them in Discord, because in Discord a lot of the conversation is lost after just a few lines of conversations. Then it's really hard to find them. So, discuss it in the forum. Discuss it in Discord, and definitely always add a note about it in the forums.
Okay, I'm moving on to the next question. We have 5 minutes left. As a reminder, as a notification to all the folks answering questions. Naya asks, question, can we toggle on and off for things like messages, and when can we delete old DMs?
Toggle on and off. So you can toggle on and off the notifications in general, if that's kind of what you're referring to. Now, if you're talking about can I turn off the ability to receive messages from friends, like altogether, just not get a message from a friend? No, we're not planning on that.
Question.
Really quickly, in general, we've been doing a lot of work around avatars and the Nexus and the Codex and questing. So features around chat and messaging and social interactions, where we've by necessity of the developers and the resources we have, we've pushed back a little bit. So we do want to address a lot of the little problems here and there, as well as the major issues with chat and how people connect with one another. It's not something that we've ignored. We've just actively decided to focus on avatars and quests in the meantime, so we do want to get to that later on.
All right. Sabrina Grace Afterthought. It was never answered. There's one that I missed. Sorry. Morgan asks about Avatar. Will we be able to customize default avatars, eye texture, skin, and so on and so forth?
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, sorry, are you talking about custom or default avatars? Because when we talk about custom avatars, it's what you upload into Sansar, and when we talk about defaults, it's the base ones that are currently integrated in the editor. So which one specifically are you referring to? Just to make sure that's clarified.
Like the default avatar.
The default, okay. Yeah, so if you're talking about the default avatars, yes. And so in the future, one of the things that we are also gearing towards is having a texture layering system, which will allow you to have which will kind of compartmentalize or like divide the different textures. Currently, right now, the makeup, the eyes are all under one texture. But later, once we have layering, the idea is we'll support eyes, more eye colors, more skin colors. You can have makeup on top of that. You can even have tattoos. So those are the things that we are currently looking towards. Probably we'll get to enabling you to change the skin much sooner than having the different layers. But we do also plan to add more eye colors in the meantime in our default selection. But yes, in the future you should be able to change those as well. Or rather, upload your own.
Excellent. Okay. Next, we have Medhu. What about a creators hangout instead of a social lounge? It seems like the Nexus should be for social, but not everybody wants to talk shop.
We would like to do that. We just decided to prioritize the social lounge first. There will be a creators space coming later, I believe. Istari would know more about that. So I don't want to step on his plans, but we did prioritize the social lounge first. It lined up with what we wanted to do immediately. So yeah, we do have plans for creators later on.
It'll be really cool. If it's anything like the Socialite Guild anyway. DJ Murdoch asks, question, could we get a better forum system and one that's not hidden in the support section, please and thank you? Oh, Sabrina, sorry, you're next.
We currently don't have plans to get out of Zendesk for the meantime. One of the beauty, which is the reason why we stuck with Zendesk, is that the knowledge base and the forums are all in one place, and it makes it easier for users to find information when they need, we need some help or are curious about a couple of things. They can just do a quick search, and then it will return results from both our knowledge base as well as user forums. So if you have discussions there, then somebody can look into that. But we all agree though that even internally that our current forums and knowledge base needs some improvement, especially in the readability of it. So that's some of the things we want to look into.
All right, Sabrina asks, is there plans to change the camera view for players that may encounter motion sickness? Not necessarily VR or just desktop. Camera mode like an SL does not cause it.
I imagine Alex would be the one internally who's given that the most thought, and he's not here. I think a question did come up earlier about motion sickness and camera views that he may have touched on. We can write it down, but it also coming here next week when he's back would be another good way to kind of resurface it and have a conversation about it. But we'll write it down and provide the feedback. Thank you.
And just to be clear, you're talking about desktop camera views, not VR camera views, because we do have feedback about dizziness and motion sickness in VR. Desktop, we do try to match our desktop cameras to what is close or generally close to standard in third person and first person games. So yeah, if you have suggestions on how to what your concerns are, I mean, most of our concerns with cameras have, again, like I said, come in VR. So yeah, and we also, if you're not aware, we added this a few releases ago in your settings menu. There are some desktop avatar controls that affect how the camera works. There's keyboard turn and face forward. You can try playing with those switches and see if that helps.
All right, we are at time. I know there's a couple of the questions haven't been answered, but I have to go, so I won't be able to lead this anymore. I'm going to turn off streaming. You all are welcome to stay and answer questions if you'd like to, Sansar staff, but you'll be on your own as I have to go to a pressing meeting. So.
Ditto. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Bye, Twitch.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.